An area I'd like to really talk about is learning. Think about the speed of business, the evolution of technology and how that's influencing the workplace, the skills development. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the top 4 or 5 subjects that CEOs are really thinking about and concerned about, upskilling and reskilling are in that list. And a piece of it is, we're hearing all these things about AI and whether or not you think AI is really going to have the impact that some say it will or will not. For sure, a large percentage of our jobs will change. And the nature of our jobs, what we need to do, what we need to focus on, what can augment what we do today with AI is going to significantly change. So a renewed focus on what we previously called training, I think will happen. We're seeing entire new departments spring up, new titles like learning and development rather than training, with this focus on, yes, there is going to be self-guided, self-paced things that I can do digitally, but a large percentage of it will turn into hands-on skills development.
Yeah.
Typically what we see is that you get onboarded in whatever way you do, and then most companies have very little progression of training and development, learning and development, that is formalized throughout their corporation. And it's up to the individual to seek out a conference to go to or a seminar, what have you. But one thing Generation Z is pushing us on is that they want career development, and they want to see where they're going to go, and they want to see how to get there. And a big piece of that, I think, is going to be this learning and development piece, whether it's formalized or informal. And then there's the whole space itself. Right. So what about the furniture side?
I think of transparency when I think about that. When you're intentional, not only about committing to the idea of learning, but also then the commitment to space. The space takes on, it's personified, right? It takes on its own sort of identity. People see the space, they know the space is then used for that thing that's going to benefit them. And the members then see a commitment to them, and then growing that sort of relationship and feeling good about the intentionality around learning and how that affects them and their growth too. So yeah, for me it's transparency in that scenario, which is really interesting.
We get a lot of cues in corporate America from higher education. And what we see existing in higher education, typically we then see in workplace a few short years later because they're entering the workplace. And as I talk to some colleagues in that industry, what is very true is that hackable spaces are at the top of that. Yeah. And that every individual professor or teacher who comes into that setting has an idea on how they want people, the students, facing each other, facing the front, facing away, how throughout the day that's going to shift and morph and change. That's a key thing that facilities and universities are really trying to figure out, is how do I give opportunity for hackability but not have 16 of the 36 chairs disappear from a space when I need it there for the next setting.
Right.
So I think that's a key area too, and we'll continue to watch what's going on in higher education and learn from them because they're really thinking through, okay, how do I engage people back into a conversation in a more meaningful way than we have in the past?
It's all about versatility, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really like AdMix in that scenario. New product for us. Love the features of AdMix, love the adjustability, the flexibility, its versatility, and the range that it really provides from an application perspective.
My favorite feature on that product is that you can do casters on one side and glides on the other. More than half the time, it is a woman who is changing the space. And so to have something super easy and light that the individual doesn't have to run around and unlock every caster to move it. They just lift it, move it, push it, and reset, I think is really great.
That hackability.
Yeah. It's important.